What's up, everyone? My name is Alan, founder and consultant at Farnow Marketing, and welcome to Braze for Technical Marketers. Today, let's talk about how to manage our custom data, our custom attributes, custom events, and purchase events using what's called a data dictionary. Let's get started. First of all, here we are in our Braze dashboard, and look at the new rebranding UI. It looks very sleek, very new, on brand with their new colors, and the super cool part is that you can expand and minimize the menu. But the left-hand navigation bar has not changed. Go to data settings and custom attributes. And that's the page that we're on already. We are on this page, the custom attributes page, the custom events page, and then sometimes the product page, quite often for all sorts of data audit. Whenever we work with a new Braze customer, we like to come to these pages and just check out how many custom data are they working with. Does it seem to have some sort of naming convention or consistency? How many different product or properties are being logged? What data types are they mostly using? So that's where you can see all of those things here in those three pages: custom attributes, custom events, and then products. Products are also known as purchase events. And one thing to keep in mind is that this page gets automatically populated when you insert a new data into Braze, or when you ingest a new data into Braze. For example, let's say I wanted to ingest a new custom attribute called maybe last Braze certification date. So it's a brand new custom attribute, does not exist quite yet. So what I'm going to do is come to our webhook and then create a new custom attribute called last Braze certification date. And then just to talk about naming convention briefly, it's what we've noticed that Braze customers prefer to do, that custom attributes and event properties, they like to use lower with under naming convention. And then in custom events, we do frequently see just capitalized words with spaces in between. It's really preference, and there isn't really a single best practice, as long as consistency is what we like to represent and suggest. So my last Braze certification date was in 2024 at the last Braze Forge. I can't remember exactly which date that was, so we'll just choose that as our date, and then we can get rid of this one. Let's go ahead and log this custom attribute that got logged successfully. And if I come to this page and give it a little refresh, we should see last Braze certification date. So notice I did not have to create anything in the dashboard manually. Just any net new data that gets ingested into Braze will show up on this page automatically. You can even see that it's been automatically detected, and it does a pretty good job detecting the data type as long as it's in the right format that Braze requests, which is for time in the ISO 8601 format. You go to the three dots here, you have some options. So you can actually edit this custom attribute. And let's see what I can edit. So I can edit pretty much, so you can edit the data type after it's been created. One thing to keep in mind is that I have a documentation page for changing custom attribute or event date type, which explains how you can do it in the older UI. And the biggest thing to keep in mind is that user data will not be retroactively updated. So all the existing data in Braze that's using the old data type will remain that data type. And if you do want to update that data type, you do have to re-ingest the same data to the user profiles. The other field that could be helpful is a description that describes what this custom attribute is, maybe how it's being collected, maybe every time we take a new Braze certification, this value automatically gets updated and is being used inside our XYZ email campaigns, for example. And then one cool recent feature that Braze released is the ability to tag your custom attributes. So we don't have any tags right now, but let's say we wanted to keep an eye out on this custom attribute and then just maybe give it a tag. So let's go to edit. And then let's give it a new tag, like we'll call it certification. So that way, next time you need to take a look at all custom attributes associated with the tag certification, you are able to search by that. It does not look like you have the ability to multi-tag attributes quite yet, so it might have to be done on a tag by tag or attribute by attribute basis. And then you also have the option of block listing. So how block listing works is if you block list a custom attribute, what happens is And before we go ahead and block list, I want to show us that the custom attribute is visible in the dropdown, last Braze certification date. Let's say the last Braze certification date has a typo or is no longer being used, and we just don't want it to show up in the dropdown anymore. Block listing won't quite delete the data, but it will make it so that it's no longer referenced outside anywhere in your dashboard. So let's say I went ahead and block listed this data, and then I go back to where I was. I think I may need to give it a refresh. And then let's take a look, see if that custom attribute still shows up. And last Braze certification date is no longer available. So that's how block listing works. It just makes it out of sight, out of mind, and we can no longer use it. And if you do also want to just really clean things up and just completely get rid of a block listed custom attribute, then after 7 days, you can, of a custom attribute being blocklisted, you can move to the trash. And I don't know if the screen share is capturing this, but if you hover over blocklisted, it tells you when you can actually remove data, which I don't have the option right now. All I have is reactivate, but you should be able to see delete or remove at some point. And then the last thing we'll mention is the max length. You might be thinking, what is max length? So that max length column is really just for arrays, and arrays that were created in the dashboard, not automatically detected, because there is an array here automatically detected, but there's nothing here. But if I create a test array and I give it the data type of array, you get to choose the size of the array, which is 25 by default. And you have the ability to increase it to up to 100, although I'm going to try 101 and see what happens. So yeah, I just got an error. I was unable to create it. Let's try that one more time. Test array, but then make it 100. And 100, I believe, is the in-dashboard limit. If you do need to pass that, you can reach out to Braze support. But that is where the max length comes into play. It's how many items does your array include, and for ours, it's 100. And if you are interested in other character limits, the string has a 256 character limit. And I'm not quite sure about numbers, but this documentation page may have some answers. All we're seeing is the 256 for now. For custom events, we don't have too many differences besides maybe the naming convention, but the only other main difference is that if you go to custom events, you have some additional options. So you can add a custom event to an analytics report, as well as the ability to manage properties. So custom events have their own set of metadata. So every event has some nested children data under it. And these are what we call event properties, custom event properties. And custom event properties pretty much work as individual custom attributes under that custom event. So you can think of it that way. Similarly, you have the ability to block list individual properties, as well as block listing the entire custom event itself. Now, let's say you are trying to get a good grasp of all the data, all the custom events and custom attributes that your dashboard is using. How would we go about just maintaining some documentation and organization for our custom data? First of all, we're going to go ahead and export all of our custom attributes and custom events, and then you should receive an email with the CSV report of everything. And let's try building a template together just to talk about what might be some important columns to keep in mind. So first, I'm going to export our CSV into the spreadsheets. So here we have the custom attribute, and I would definitely keep custom attributes separate from custom events. So we will name this custom attributes, maybe 2025-03-18. And then same thing for custom events. And then here we have custom events, exactly as Braze provided. So custom attributes are a little bit simpler. We just have the custom attributes as they're given. Maybe I would add a lengthier description. Some good things to discuss are how is the custom attribute ingested, as in what exact user action or which screen of the web/mobile app will trigger this or will ingest this custom attribute. Let's give it a wrap so we can read that a little bit better. And you can see that even though our test dashboard only really has a handful of custom data, a bigger brand with many, many users and many custom data will have hundreds of custom attributes. So it really does become a full-time dedicated exercise where, your Braze team or your CRM team will need to spend some time looking at this, updating this, and it is going to require some focus and a time commitment to keep this updated. But a team that has what we call an updated data dictionary can operate much smoothly, much faster. If there's a new team member, a new Braze user who needs access to data dictionary and understand how it's being used or how it's being triggered, they have a resource like this that could be helpful. Moving over to the custom events, we would say, unfortunately, it looks like custom event properties are not listed in the export. So what we would do is the custom event properties are quite important when it comes to keeping track of all the metadata that the custom events come with, especially because a lot of triggers rely on property-specific criteria. For example, for our date picked, if we take a look at our event properties, we have reminder days, that's a string, reminder hours, a string, and selected date, which is a. So what we might do is double click the property name and then head over to our data dictionary. And then for this one, we would make it multi-line because we do want to specify all the different event properties that's available under date picked. So we have reminder days, reminder hours, also string. Both of those really should be numbers. So you can already see how this audit could be helpful, that numerical values are coming in as strings. So that's something to flag to your engineering team. And then lastly, we have selected date, which was, I forgot what that was. It was a time. Okay, great. Time. And then another thing we just remembered is example values of the custom event properties, or even for custom attributes as well. So maybe we would say example value. Actually, I'm going to add a new column. So example values, and then maybe we have like 5, and then hours could be 2, and then select the date, which is a time, which will come covered in between quotes, is something like this. And this could also just be an example of the most recent payload that your engineering team has sent over to Braze. So sometimes instead of typing out the example values, we also see sample payload. And what that means is something like this, where you can actually see all the different properties that were sent in. So actually, it might be much easier for date picked if I just went ahead and copy and pasted this and then inserted that into our sample payload, just like that. So we have just a quick snapshot of all the potential example values. So that was a quick overview of how we would navigate the custom attributes and the custom events page, and a possible template for what a data dictionary might look like when it comes to managing your Braze data. Of course, every column and every usage is going to look different for every team, but it will be some variation, some version of this one. And unfortunately, as of right now, it does require quite a bit of manual work to keep it updated. But we promise that the benefit will be well worth it, as that this will provide a lot of structure and organization for your team's data usage. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.